All right. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Jason. In 2015, I founded Parabolic to deliver ideas with trajectory, strategies and ideas that help brands grow by understanding the needs of retailers and consumers, giving them both reasons to buy. The pace of retail change has accelerated dramatically over the last 24 months. This isn't about theory. It's about what has changed, what matters, and what brands should do immediately. We'll focus on three areas reshaping growth today: retail media networks, generative AI, agentic commerce, and most importantly, how they affect velocity. Many of us have spent years optimizing for traditional shopper marketing. Those fundamentals still matter, but what's changed is the environment around them. Discovery has changed, activation has changed, optimization has changed, and brands that recognize these shifts early will create significant advantages. Consumers and shoppers have always wanted solutions. Search engines force them to search for products. AI allows them to search for outcomes. This changes which brands appear, and more importantly, why they appear. Because consumers are no longer simply typing keywords, they're asking questions. Instead of searching protein bars, they're asking, what healthy snack keeps me full until lunch without a sugar crash? It may seem subtle, but it's not. It's fundamentally changing how products are found, and the agent keeps prompting deeper conversation, driving more intense consideration. Historically, brands competed for shelf space, search rankings, and display placement. Increasingly, they're competing for recommendations. 78% of shoppers say they've used AI to find products to purchase. If an AI recommends 3 brands and yours is not included, you've lost before the shopper ever reaches a retailer or a .com. In reality, the algorithm is the new aisle. Being algorithm friendly is the new slotting fee. Mark Zuckerberg said that marketing is dead because of the Meta AI agent. Amazon's got Nova Act, an AI model for developers to use to build agents to search the open web and complete complex tasks. We're moving closer to AI agents being able to buy products on consumers' behalf. ChatGPT is making product recommendations now more than ever. Brands' online content, their own channels, PDPs, digital shelf, reviews, FAQs, etc., need to anticipate these AI-driven use cases. Consumers adopt AI tools not to comparison shop. One analyst stated that brand websites will, in the not too distant future, simply become data sources for AI agents to scrape for data to serve up to consumers. AI does not see channels. It sees signals. Every single review, every PDP, every social post, every web page. The question isn't whether you're creating content. The question is what AI is learning from your content, and can it discern a consistent picture so that it is confident in recommending you? I'd like to take a pause. I invite everyone to open another window, go to your favorite AI, take a look at these prompts: best natural snack brands for busy parents, healthiest coffee brands for sensitive tummy, best dog food for dogs with skin allergies, and ask AI a solution-seeking question like these, but specific to your brand's category. And I'd love to see and know if your brand appeared in the solutions. So please take a moment to do that exercise. Take a brief pause. SEO focused on helping search engines index and rank your brand's content based on keywords and terms. GEO focuses on structuring brand content so AI systems can retrieve, cite, and surface it in conversational responses. The brands winning tomorrow aren't just teaching AI who they are, they're making themselves impossible to overlook. They are clear about who they help. They're explicit about what problems they're going to solve. And they're credible enough that AI systems treat them as a trusted source. And that is a really critical piece. It's why you've seen Reddit jumping up so much lately. This is one of the biggest opportunities available today. Brands describe function, low acid coffee. Consumers describe coffee that doesn't upset my stomach. Brands may say 25 grams of protein, and consumers are describing the problem of what will keep me full until lunch. AI increasingly connects problems to products, not products to features. What's really interesting is that every review, every social comment, every Reddit, every customer service ticket has language that customers actually use, and AI can be utilized to help us mine these conversations, not only from our brands, but because of social, we can mine from our competitors too. And this is a huge game changer. And this is what we should be leveraging to make sure that we have content that is going to change your brand from being a functional provider to a solution. The old question was, what are consumers saying? The new question is, what themes appear repeatedly? Those themes become your content, their innovation, it's your messaging, and it leverages into your retail strategy. I'm going to turn it over to Ben to speak about retail media networks.
Thanks, Jason. I love this topic so much. And it excites me to be at the real cusp in the shopper marketing discipline of the solutions we can bring to brands and to partners. So, as Jason sort of alluded to, the reality of agentic commerce is not coming. It is here. It is here and it is now. But the reality is that there are so many unanswered questions right now about where this puck is headed. And there's a lot of prognosticators out there spouting a lot of things, but nobody really knows for sure. But the reality is that retail media is experiencing a tectonic shift in the landscape, where AI agents have a lot more influence in that shopper's journey, now and into the future. So for brands, retail media, it's going to continue to be a major force for us to leverage. Things are evolving rapidly, though, with these agents coming on the scene. So, retailers are really seeing that writing on the wall. All the third-party AI players from the likes of Perplexity, Claude, ChatGPT, and others, they're trying to get more control over that audience to actively influence where that audience goes. They're influencing the pipes, whether they cut off the pipes or they let the traffic flow. They're really growing in control over that. And also, retailers are bringing their own agentic solutions, like Walmart's Sparky is coming on the scene. Amazon's got Rufus to really keep their retail media viable and profitable into the future. So brands will absolutely need to make RMN investments, and budget for the reality of today, but they also need to plan for what's ahead. And the question really is, how do brands do this realistically? We want to drive velocities today, but we want to reduce risk and set ourselves up for success for tomorrow. So when we think about that, the reality is retail media was built around this behavior of a human shopper scanning a page on a retailer's website. Agentic commerce inserts a decision layer before that moment, as Jason sort of described. So whether current retail media investment translates into AI era visibility, or it requires a totally separate strategy for brands, this is really, as I said, still an open question. But brands are going to continue to have to leverage that power of retail media and also build that brand digital shelf content infrastructure for tomorrow. So you kind of have to walk and chew gum at the same time. The good news is the strategic fundamentals that drove best practices for SEO, those still largely hold true for generative engine optimization. But there's some important additional considerations we're all going to have to make when we think about the balance of today while planning for tomorrow. Things like brand visibility via sponsored search, we're doing that today. But AI shopping assistants are going to drive discovery more and more, and it's happening now and growing. It's still true that robust PDP content is king. You want to have great images. You want to have great and complete copy. You want reviews, and you want them to be recent. So reviews are not set it and forget it, but they've got to be recent. And you want clear attributes and points of difference. Those all drive search ranking, which ultimately drives humans to discover you. For tomorrow, though, that PDP content, in addition to being tailored towards SEO, it's got to be tailored for GEO. It's got to have content and solutions that those AIs can easily retrieve and surface via the agents. Like Jason said, a lot of this content is going to become a, a data farm for the AI agents to vacuum up and resurface. And it's true today that, retail media networks, that first party data is gold. It is a competitive walled garden and an advantage for so many of our retail partners. As we move into tomorrow, those retail media budgets, those are going to shift more towards this AI served formats. Both the third parties like the Claudes and the ChatGPTs are doing it, but the retailers themselves are doing it. And so retail media investments are going to start shifting there. So what to do. The brand's best positions for whatever comes next are going to be the ones that are getting those basics right now, but are really planning for the future, as we're talking about. So again, you're going to hear this over and over again from us and from others, and I cannot overstate the importance of that content, that brand content. Consistent and accurate content on owned brand sites and across your retail sites, strong retail fundamentals, and those credibility signals for content to travel across the channels. I cannot overstate how important this is going to be for brands, or continues to be for brands. Then you want to align your retail media investments and promotional strategy on top of that strong brand foundation, right? You want the foundation strong first, and then you can build on top of it. And the reality is that foundation is going to hold whether this agentic commerce, and shopping with agentic happens gradually or rapidly. And all indications are pointing towards a rapid adoption of agentic commerce for shoppers, because we all like frictionless solutions and ease, and people are going to it rapidly. So as you keep your eye towards what's next, as I noted, make sure your PDP content is solid and built for now and the future, and can be retrievable by the AIs. And you'll want to begin testing ways to make your brand show up in that decision layer via agentic commerce. So, retailers understand shopper behavior at unprecedented levels. This is not new news for any of us as marketers or brand marketers. Um, you know, Retailers are also bringing their own agentic solutions to the party, and all of these capabilities that they have today, they're going to get supercharged. And brands should consider ways to align their retail media investments accordingly. So, the AIs are going to allow these retailers to deliver highly personalized recommendations, highly personalized offers, and highly personalized content. So, the future is here today. One-to-one is here today. Increasingly, personalization, it's not just a hope. It is an expectation. It is table stakes. Consumers want relevance. Retailers, they want efficiency, and they want to drive efficient conversion. And brands want to drive velocity. So AI is making all of these things possible. So, many brands will, the reality today and what we see as shopper marketers is that brands are often still evaluating retail media investments kind of like traditional media. And I see that particularly being true when we're existing in an IoT context where, you've got brand marketing budgets shifting towards retail media investments, and you've got, big brand agencies planning those media investments, whether that's with Amazon or Walmart or others. And what I would encourage all our brand partners to consider is that is kind of a mistake. We really don't want to our goal shouldn't just be impressions and attention. The goal's got to be movement. So I encourage us all to think about ways to put that shopper lens on everything we do today. because velocity remains the language of retailers and the thing they care about most. And frankly, the thing we as brands should care about most. So as agentic commerce grows in dominance and those retail media networks are piloting their own agents, brands are going to have to think about all their retail media network investments through that shopper lens. So you want to think about things like what SKUs are rising to the top of those AI recos? How do line extensions, flavors, and other variations fit into the recommendations that the AIs are surfacing? How are you going to create brand content that's optimized for both human traffic and the AI agents? So when we look at the brands that are doing well today and are well positioned for the future, it's not necessarily about size. The biggest gains can occur for any brand when everything works together. So strategic retail media investments through the shopper lens without inventory fails. Doing marketing activity like influencers without distribution fails. Um, you know, Doing promotions without an awareness fail. So, you're deploying it could be a TPR, or it could be a manufacturer coupon, or some other promotion on top of a strong brand foundation, where you're driving awareness with the right consumer audience. So that solid foundation is really where the magic happens. And that's really where velocity can grow when that ecosystem is all working together and we're getting all of those fundamentals right. So today, the future is here today, as we've been alluding to. We are really moving into this era of agentic commerce, and I think we're all going to be shocked by how quickly the adoption has happened and will continue to happen. It's not going to be a nice, smooth line. It's going to be a hockey stick of growth. And consumers are going to increasingly ask AI, hey, build my grocery list. I have a diabetic in the household. Recommend supplements. I mean, literally the other day I typed to Claude something about high protein snacks because I'm interested in increasing more protein in my diet. You might say, find a gift for my tween who loves art. These, as Jason alluded to, we're more and more going to be turning to the AIs to become our partners and converse with them to give us solutions that are much more detailed and varied. So people are going to be giving AI the power to make purchasing decisions on their behalf, and that's the other thing that's coming in the future. So it's here. And one of the things we think about in the onset of agentic commerce, as shopper marketers is, as Jason said, is your brand recommendable? The future question isn't, can they find us through like a optimized search or organic search or even paid search? It's, will the AIs recommend us? So we really are starting to shift our thinking about how brands think about their own discoverability. And as I said, the thing that excites me most, as an agency partner and a strategic partner for clients is the winners are not necessarily going to be the biggest. They're the fastest learners. They're going to adopt faster. They're going to optimize and test. And increasingly, they're going to leverage AI to find those places to remove the friction. And, one of the things I've seen and I've been really fascinated by is, AI and agentic commerce, it's going to upend the dynamics of category dominance. So today you go to the shelf, right? And you might have a dominant category player with this massive brand block and shelf prominence. And they might also be killing it in search through SEO, but also through a lot of paid search investment. But with these third-party agentic commerce asserting themselves into this decision layer, and the retailer's own agents, big brands and players, they could be disrupted by those smaller brands if an AI agent sees them as a stronger option. So think about it if you're a smaller brand or you're a challenger brand. You have an opportunity, a real opportunity to disrupt this long-held dominance by these bigger brands as a result. If you have a thoughtful and strategic approach about tailoring your brand content and your digital shelf content to be really solutions oriented and have that authority and credibility signals that we talked about. Think about ways your brand might leverage how you're showing up today, how you're being surfaced in these agentic commerce interactions. Think about how you could talk about that in a merchant discussion, in a sell-in deck. If you can find ways to test this today and do some interesting things to show that you're showing up in those interactions, think about how you can integrate that into a sell-in story to a retailer and how important that would be to a buyer. It's going to start becoming a factor in decisions. So it's something I encourage us all to think about. So when we think, a lot of times we think about how do we begin? It's kind of like eating the elephant. You've got to start one bite at a time. But we cannot stress enough, and we're doing it today as an agency, is to really, nobody can sit on their hands. We've got to have some immediate action. But it doesn't have to be overwhelming, and it can be achievable even for smaller brands with very limited budgets. Ask, as Jason said, ask AI what it's saying about your brand. We're all out there with access to these tools, and we're all consumers and shoppers. And so we should be playing with this every single day. I know Jason and I are, and everybody in our agency is. We're constantly engaging with the AIs to look for ways that our clients' brands are showing up, to figure out ways to make them show up better and stronger and make them offer up more compelling solutions. So today it's about auditing and listening and evaluating your own content and thinking through the lens of your own shoppers, being in your shoppers' shoes and how they're thinking about solutions and how your brand shows up in those solutions. So auditing and listening, very important. Then testing and optimizing, look for things to do. And again, as we've said, there are a lot of lower cost ways to do that today through just look in your own backyard, look on your own website. Does your PDP content deliver on those solutions? How can you optimize it? How can you make those tweaks, not just on your own site, but obviously syndicated out to the digital shelf? One of the things we're doing for a lot of our clients is really looking at not just their own brand sites, but frankly, their digital shelf through, how it syndicates through the Syndigos of the world. And the Salsifys of the world, and how can we optimize that content and make tweaks in real time to continue to be relevant? So continuous testing, continuous optimization. And then, of course, measurement and refinement. It's just going to be a continuous loop of this as things evolve and change. And as I said, nobody knows exactly where this puck is headed, but there's a lot of bets being placed and a lot of testing going on. And I think no brand can afford to sit on the sideline, and we've all got to do creative things to try to see where we can show up and really maximize our opportunities within this infrastructure that is growing, that is agentic commerce. So the time to start is now. So the future belongs to brands that are easy to recommend. The brands that are going to be easy to find, that are going to be easy for retailers, they're going to be easy for shoppers, and they're going to be easy for the AIs to bring forward to those shoppers and consumers seeking the most relevant solutions. And that's really where velocity is headed. Those things are going to be what's driving brand velocities now and into the future. So we encourage everyone to get curious or remain curious, test a lot, and try these things. Find a strong partner to work with who can help you really map your way forward in a way that is achievable for you. We all know, and we work with clients every day who have limited budgets and have to make hard choices about where to spend their first marketing dollar and where to spend their next marketing dollar. And the good news is we can do a lot of these things today within the existing budgets that we have, and just thinking about ways to make small shifts to really drive big impact. and then continue to do that as we move into the future and that future becomes more clear. So as Jason said, we were founded on this principle as an agency to drive success for our clients through the lens of shopper. And we know at Parabolic that velocity is a very new playbook and things are changing rapidly, and we are looking to remain on the cusp of those changes. But we're really excited about the journey ahead, and we're really excited about looking for ways to partner with our clients as we figure this all out together. And we think the recipe for success is to bring that strategic shopper lens to everything we do, because shopper is everywhere now, and as my colleagues know, I like to say, shopper is not a channel, it is a mindset, and it is happening now everywhere. And so having a partner who understands that, who understands the shopper mindset and can bring that to bear everywhere we are as a brand is going to be key for success. So we have decades of that experience under our belt as an agency, and we have already begun leveraging AI optimized content for our clients to help them achieve greater success now through getting more discoverable. And, I've been pleased at some of our clients that have been able to really elevate their surfacing in agentic interactions in interesting ways because they had such a clear solution for consumers. And we can sort of exploit that and optimize their content to enable that exploitation so that they're really appearing in those agentic solutions. So one of the things we would invite anyone on this webinar today, or if you're watching this recording in the future, I would encourage you to contact us because we're looking for ways to help our brand partners do this. And so one of the things we would like to offer you is a free shopper AI visibility audit. And what we're going to do for you is really take our deep shopper expertise and fluency and really look at your brand landscape, your brand content landscape, and look for ways to drive specific optimizations through solutions-oriented content, or for where you're appearing, where your competitors are appearing, and how they're ranking through these agentic commerce interactions, for ways to improve and ways to optimize yourself. So we want to offer that to you all, or anyone watching this in the future, to get a taste of what's possible if we start to apply this kind of shopper lens to what we're doing as this agentic commerce era comes online for all of us. So we thank you for your time, and we thank you for your kind attention and listening to this, and we look forward to working with you.